Mission Bit is a youth after-school program in the city that aims to equip a new generation of innovators with skills to enter the tech job market. For 7 years, they've served more than 4,000 students, and at the end of July, they will have finished 95 classes. Christina Ortega is here with us from Mission Bit to talk about all of the work that you've been doing. Tell us, Christina, you have a cohort currently studying and getting ready to finish that has been doing the program during the pandemic under a whole new system. So tell us a little bit about how that's been going.
Yeah, so surprisingly, it's been going really well. We are in the last bit of the summer program, so our students are thinking about what their final project is going to be, putting together all the skills that they've learned in the first half of the semester, and we have our upcoming demo day, so the students will be showcasing those projects. So we are serving just about the same amount of students remotely as we did last summer in class, just a bigger class group instead of putting 25 students in one online class.
So you told me earlier 77 students. What are some of the things that they study, and what does a typical schedule look like now with the cohort that's been studying this summer?
So we have 7 classes. 4 of those classes are web design classes. So the students are learning HTML, CSS, and we added some UI, UX concepts to those classes. And then we have 3 classes where students are studying Unity game design, as well as the coding language C#.
And in San Francisco here, this is something we hear really commonly with nonprofits and programs that are trying to do this kind of work. We're in like one of the world's tech hub. And yet you find that a lot of the tech jobs in Silicon Valley and in the city aren't really occupied by natives or by youth who grow up here and move into those jobs. So what do you see kind of as the problem here that you're solving for, and how is Mission Bit solving for that problem?
I think making computer science fun and accessible. So one thing we do is we try to eliminate all the barriers by bringing all the equipment, the instructors, everything to the school site. So students just have to show up. Another thing is there are still so many schools in San Francisco that don't have access to computer science, and a lot of those students are being left behind. So we hope that with our classes being project-based, with no experience necessary, no grades, students can feel, welcome to take the class and create a project that they can use in their portfolio if they choose to continue learning computer science and coding.
And you've been able to go forward with the program online, which is great. Have there been really noticeable pros and cons to doing it online? Has that made it less accessible, more accessible to different populations?
I think with community-wise, starting new friendships, it's been hard for the students on Zoom. But we really tailored the curriculum this summer to be engaging for the students. So on Mondays, they have a quest. So they all show up and they work in groups, and they work on a specific project. And then on Wednesdays, we have a community circle. So we bring all the students together in one room so they could see the other students who are in the other classes. And we play various games like Pictionary, and we do about 15 minutes of announcements. And then on Fridays, we have career speakers. So the students get to hear from industry professionals who are currently, working at tech companies here in San Francisco to gain a little insight of what it's like.
That's great. One of your success stories is actually within the organization. So your director of curriculum is an alum from your first class, is that right? And currently works there. So I think she's an example of what the program can open up for somebody. So tell us a little bit about her story.
Yeah, definitely. So we're super excited to have Cora as our director of curriculum. She was part of one of our first cohorts. At the time, Mission Bit only had one class site. So she was traveling 1 hour on the bus to the class site and then taking our class for 2 hours and then back home for another hour. So I'm really happy as to where we are today. Pre-COVID, we had 7 school sites. So students don't have to travel that far. We do have different locations. And so, we are eliminating that barrier of the distance, where we have classes in the Mission, we have classes in the Western Addition area, we have classes in the Sunset District. So we have a broad range.
Yeah, that shows how far the organization has come since you started in 2013. And generally, the students who come and benefit from these skills and take the classes, like what kind of generally things do they go on to do, or do they go on to work? Like, what are some of the things they gain for their career?
Just, like I mentioned, the portfolio is really great. A lot of times people don't get into tech until after high school, and so then they're looking for opportunities to create a portfolio. Recently, we also added a student advisory board, so our students get to do in-house internships with local nonprofits and help out the community as well. So I think the biggest thing that students gain is, being able to take a free class and also building a community with other students who are like-minded and have similar, interests as them.
That's really unique that your organization has a student advisory board. So it's like, how does that work? The students are making decisions and gathering to direct the organization or some of the activities. They're organizing some activities, you told me before, right?
Yeah, so they work on different projects. We have one group that works on a hackathon, which just happened this past weekend. We have another group that works on like events and grants. So they actually just secured $10,000 from the Youth Empowerment Fund from the YMCA. So they're currently coordinating a student-led conference with all tech individuals to inspire other high school students to start their journey in tech and learn how to code. And the third group of our student advisory board members works closely with Cora, and they work on workshop curriculum. They learn how to build it out, and they also start leading the workshops on their own.
That's so empowering for them to be able to do that and to have gotten that big grant. What if somebody wants to get involved? Well, let's ask if they want to get involved in the program or if they want to support you. How would any young people who want to get involved be able to find out more or join the program?
So if anyone's interested, they can visit our site, missionbit.org. We have a section for volunteers to sign up. If it's someone who has technical skills who wants to help out in the classroom, we have a programs page for students who are interested in joining our program this fall. And we also have reoccurring workshops happening all summer long. And those are actually open to anyone, any student, as long as you're in high school and you can, take the workshop during the hours that are listed. You can be anywhere. And
Those are free 90-minute workshops on various topics, right?
yeah.
Right. And if people want to support you, they can go to your website.
Yeah, they can head over to our website. If they want to support us in any other ways, we have missionbit.org. We just transitioned over to .org, so that was huge for us. And then we have the donate button right there on the right-hand side.
Great. We'll have that up on the screen for viewers. Is there anything else that you want to add or let people know about the organization, the work you do, and how this summer has been going? Oh, you have a demo day coming up July 25th. What is going to happen then, and how can people check that out?
So our students will be showcasing their projects. We'll have 4 students presenting. We'll also have 4 guest judges from different local tech companies. And then there will be breakout rooms. So everyone who comes to demo day will get a list of all the students who will be presenting in those separate breakout rooms. And then they could choose which ones they want to look at. We'll also have the links all live on a spreadsheet, so guests can check those games out and the websites that the students built. So it's open to the public. Anyone can register. It's on our website on the events section.
Being here in one of the world's tech hubs of San Francisco, why is it important to offer these kinds of tech skills, particularly to our local youth?
I think it's really important for them to gain the experience needed to be part of the competition in tech. A lot of people come to San Francisco being a tech hub and secure jobs in these technical positions, yet a lot of our school sites don't necessarily have those skills embedded into the curriculum so students can be part of that competition. So I think it's really important for them to have the skills necessary to compete and also to gain income that will allow them to stay, remain living here in San Francisco.
Yeah, definitely important to retain our locals and give those opportunities and job opportunities to youth entering the market. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us, Christina, and look forward to the demo day and hearing more of your news. Thanks so much, Christina.
No problem. Thank you.
SF Commons is your community access television in San Francisco, the fourth largest city in California, which is known as the nation's food basket. We have abundance here, but we also have hunger. I'm joined today by someone who has been working with their organization to address hunger. For over 33 years, Food Runners SF has taken excess fresh food and connected that with communities in need. Joining me today is founder and director, Mary Risley. Mary, welcome to the program.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you.
Mary, I wanted to start off with some numbers. I've been reading our local newspaper, and before the pandemic, it said 23% of our San Francisco residents experience hunger. Since the pandemic, have you seen that number increase?
Well, I wouldn't see the exact numbers, but you can see by the people that are going to the food pantries, by the there are a lot of people. There are a lot of seniors and low-income people that can't leave their apartments now. I mean, it is an increase, but I don't know the exact numbers.
Great. What I mean, are your services being reached out to more? Like, how does it necessarily work if you are in need of food from Food Runners?
So we have a map on the foodrunner.org website that will list about a dozen places where they can go and get our food. Churches, soup kitchens. What's happening now is you can't go into a soup kitchen and eat because of the virus, but so the soup kitchens are handing out individual meals on the sidewalk, and that's what we're providing.
And you're providing fresh food, which most food banks might give you a lot of frozen food and canned goods. Your specialty is delivering fresh produce and meats. Is that correct?
No. What we're doing is we're cooking them and making individual meals. So it could be a wrap with egg salad in it. It could be a chicken broccoli kind of mixture, or Korean something. But they're ready to eat meals.
Got you. And I know that your supply source pre-pandemic had been tech cafeterias and hotel buffets, and we're seeing the whole reality of that kind of excess food changing. How are you getting your food right now? How are you sourcing that?
So that our big suppliers are the farmers markets. We pick up at all the farmers markets whenever they're open. We pick up from retail stores like Trader Joe's, Molly Stone's, Gus's Community Market, and we pick up at some of the produce. The SF Produce Market gives us a lot of food.
That's terrific. And I know that previously, you weren't in the business of doing cooked food.
Right.
Of course, you had a long time cooking school, so I'm sure you have lots of recipes and understanding of how to prepare foods, but can you talk a little bit about how Food Runners SF sort of adapted to cooking in this time?
So the story is that there was a bright young chef who was working in a vegan restaurant down on Union Street, and he had a whole bunch of chili, and he phoned Food Runners, and somebody from Food Runners told him about what we do, and he said that he would like to cook for the hungry, and I said, well, you can come and cook in my kitchen. And his name was Todd Corboy, and after a couple of weeks of cooking in my kitchen and chilling the food and packaging it, and so they were bringing in donated food, he was cooking it, and then their volunteers package it and send it off to the different shelters. But he outgrew my space pretty fast, so now we're doing it in the what I call the Hamilton Methodist Church up in the Haight, and it's now called the Waller Center.
That's right.
And we have two very professional chefs from the St. Regis Hotel who are making at least 2,000 meals a day. to be delivered to the low-income housing places and the soup kitchens.
Mary, that's amazing. You know, you have such a long history of providing meals to San Francisco. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got the idea for Food Runners?
So when I had a cooking school down in North Beach, I sometimes had a whole lot of leftover food. And what do? Do I give it to the staff? Do I throw it away, or do I drive it to Glide? And I figured there must be other people in the same predicament. For instance, bakeries and all. And so we decided to offer this free service using volunteers, that we will pick up their food and take it to a suitable agency feeding the hungry.
And, you know, the interesting thing to note is that California law wasn't necessarily the most amenable to this type of service, right? Taking excess food from, you know, leftovers at an event, a catered event. Can you talk a little bit about how you've seen things change policy-wise?
Well, a really interesting story is that there was a health inspector who, from the San Francisco Health Department, Tina Huey, who investigated us the very first year, and she is still a food runner. So what happens is, you know, San Francisco's not even 8 miles wide. So a volunteer picking up food, you know, here and taking it there, it can't go bad in that short a time. And so the health department decided that, and they also said that they don't control transportation. They control the kitchen that it's made in, or the kitchen that it's served from.
And there's a Good Samaritan law that the state passed in 2017.
No, it was in 87 and 94, or 84 and 97. I can't remember. There's the donor is protected from liability by both state and federal laws. And David Hsu has introduced a wonderful bill that went into effect January 2017, saying all food that's reached its expiration point from or sale by date can be donated.
That was,
and here's a really interesting thing. Trader Joe's doesn't like to get publicity, but they for ever since they came to San Francisco, they've been donating meat, flour, dairy, flowers. We get fresh flowers from Trader Joe's. It's amazing.
That's lovely. Mary, you were citing the Good Samaritan Food Donation Act that Hsu helped pass in the California Assembly, into the California law in 2018. It passed 2017 and took effect in 2018, and that helps protect folks who want to donate excess food from any liability. Most liability if they donate to a charitable organization like Food Runners. So, exactly. But you've been on the road a long time doing this service. Can you tell me anything that you learned specifically having done this for 33 years?
So I think that the most important thing is that human beings like to help other human beings if they can figure out a way of doing it. And we're providing people with an opportunity to help their fellow San Franciscans.
That sounds like a great time to ask, how can we help Food Runners SF right now?
So you can, if you know anybody with a business in San Francisco that's throwing away their excess food, tell them to please donate it through Food Runners. And if you can't volunteer, or if you have friends that can't volunteer, send us money. Send us money. Volunteer or send us money.
Mary, you make a great call to action very clearly there. I appreciate you taking some time to talk to us about Food Runners SF, and I wish you all the best and a lot of great meals today.
Thank you, my friend.